Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zollo. It is week 3 of the NFL and fantasy football season. 2 weeks in, plenty to still overreact to, and a lot of fun matchups this week. We saw a lot of good ones last week. We see even better ones coming for us ahead in week 3. More shitting on the tight end. There's so much happening. It's going to be so exciting. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. On the bottom, Josh and Ryan. How'd we do in week 2, boys?
No better than week 1, really.
Oh, well, I was 5-1, and thanks to my father, who is a dedicated listener of the show. Please stop listening and stop taking guys that I want, because Jesse Bates' game-sealing interception put him overhead by 0.5 points.
That killed me.
And
Good for him.
And I was waiting for a stat correction of like Jesse Bates full tackle to an assist, so I would win. No. Jesse Bates and his Joe Lovin' ass had to fucking intercept that pass. Yeah. Horrible week. But that is how it goes. Gentlemen, it is week 3. Remember, thank you all that have been joining. I already see a bunch of people in here. Like and subscribe if you haven't. I know everyone that I've seen commented, I know has liked and subscribed. We appreciate y'all. Super chat. One guy, the last 2 shows I've been on, has done it. I think his name is Steven. Appreciate you, Steven, or Stefan. Not too sure. It's with a PH, so we don't really know. But if you have it, you want it, questions get backed up, drop it in there. I know on Starts a Different Day, we were like 15 questions deep. Steven dropped it, boom, right to the top. Super chat feature is available for you right now. News and notes. My one bullet point says everyone on your fantasy team is hurt. Ironically, outside of like the big name in my 14 team, Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Love, I've actually been pretty safe.
Oh, you just jinxed yourself right there.
100%. 100%. But here's the thing. In the league, I have
Puka. Reaper's coming.
Well, in the league, I have Puka Nacua. I had my 4 running backs: Breece Hall, James Cook, Alvin Kamara, and Joe Mixon. So I'm like, all right, I'm fine. Yeah, I can lose you.
Well, Mixon's already dealing with an injury.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
It's fine. I still have Alvin Kamara, James Cook, and Breece Hall. What do you... Come at me, Josh. Austin Eckler on the bench. Tony Pollard on the bench. You're telling the running back guy he doesn't have enough running backs? Get out of here. Stupid. Oh, this guy. But if you... Josh, do they have any Band-Aids on Trophy Smack? Can you send...
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Can you send like a care package or somebody? If you want to send a care package, trophysmack.com/WOFF. You'll find all your stuff there. Commish gear, Band-Aids, live tiers. I think they actually they soak up the tiers of their support line. And they send those to people. So you can buy tiers to send to your last place loser. It's fantastic.
They do have Smack Talk greeting cards.
Do they? Yeah. Does it pop up and give you the middle finger? Because that would be my preferred. That would be my preferred greeting.
I mean,
card.
that's what your fantasy team does every time you open the app.
My team is like, I do have a gripe. I did well in Dynasty this week. Okay, I did very well in Dynasty this week. You want to know what happened? I fucking lost to the team that dropped 210 points. So if we could not do that, fun fact, I have almost as many points for as Ryan, except Ryan has 200 points against less than me.
Yep.
What is this bullshit?
Well, I was gonna say
my auction league, I have the most points scored. And I have the most points against, and I'm 0-2. It's fantastic.
What is this bullshit?
I was going to say that's my story in Scott Fishbowl. I had a wonderful week, but some asshole had the highest score, and I happened to be playing him, and he's next to me in the chat right now. So.
Oh god, I absolutely hate it. In my home league, most points for, most points against. I'm 1-1. What do you want me to do, guys? I don't really know.
Football, baby.
Oh, God, I hate it here. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We had a bunch last week, so we're looking forward to more and more this week. And, of course, you don't get to it, which we always do, but if there's something that comes up in the next 48 to 72 hours, starts a different day on Saturday as well with myself and Josh. We'll start with the upsides. Nobody was good last week. If you watched any football last week, everybody was wrong.
Yep.
Pretty much everybody was wrong. I did well guessing people's demises, but none of us did well.
Bad at that.
Yeah. None of us did well guessing who would play well. This was a rough week, folks. Josh, you were 1-2 last week. This week you have Brandon Ayuk top 10 against the Rams, Zamir White top 15 against Carolina, and Jamar Chase top 5 against Washington. I'll quickly preface, if Zamir White can't be top 15 against Carolina, there's an issue.
He doesn't belong in your fantasy team, straight up.
Nope. And if Jamar Chase can't finish top 5, I would like to formally apologize. Now, I will say, the Washington defense did still give you points in fantasy football. They weren't atrocious. But I do want to apologize to those that I said, go get Washington's defense. I thought, hey, maybe a couple sacks, maybe a couple turnovers. No, they said, Malik Neighbor said, let me whip this out on top of you.
But I did temper expectations at the end of the show, so...
Well, that's the thing. Daniel Jones plays well against Washington. I said that. I'm like, he could play well against them. I'm like, you got to have at least, 2 or 3 sacks and a couple turnovers.
Yeah, you
no.
would imagine that from him.
Non-existent. It was absolutely insane. So Jamar Chase sees the Commanders at home on an extended week because they play the second game of Monday Night Football. This is the doubleheader Monday Night Football special that they have switched to. It's since moved from week 1. I believe it was week 2 last year. Now it's week 3 this year. Josh, you have Jamar Chase going against Washington. I mean, realistically, he should finish 1.
He really should. But with as bad as he's been, I'm going to give him a little leash and say top 5. But over the first 2 weeks of the season, he has seen 17 targets, 10 catches, and 70 yards. That's not even a good single game stat line.
That's pretty average.
No.
And he did that over 2 games. But this is what I find really interesting. Week 3 seems to be his breakout week every single season.
Because since he sucks in week 1 and 2.
There you go. He did have a really good rookie year in like his first week, but week 3 of his rookie year was 4 catches, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2022 was 6 catches and a touchdown. Last year in week 2, 15 targets, 12 catches, 141 yards, 0 touchdowns. And that was the 10 for 70, which was last year how he started, excuse me. But Washington has given up 6 touchdowns through 2 games just to wide receivers.
Yep.
If Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow can't get right against Washington, and you are a Bengals fan, be worried.
Yeah,
because
panic.
This season is not going to go well for you straight up.
2 of those touchdowns were against the Giants.
I'm saying I agree.
Yeah.
But it's still 6 total receiving touchdowns in 2 games.
No, that's what I'm saying. That makes it worse that it was against the Giants.
Yeah,
exactly.
At least the Bucs are 2-0.
Yeah.
Insane. Utterly insane.
It's a rough one.
Fun fact, Washington leading the division at 1-1. Those are your division leading Washington Commanders in the NFC East, and that's not a joke. That is, I don't know the tiebreaker scenario there.
Yeah,
but
where they decided that.
They are leading the division. Absolutely insane. So, go them, I guess. Absolutely crazy. Ryan, we'll slide over to you with your picks. You were 1-2 last week. You're 500 on the year. You did well in week 1, so that's good.
I mean, that was probably my one good week this year. Let's just chalk these up as L's from this point forward.
You did well in the coin flip week, so that's what we're looking for. Brock Bowers is the overall tight end 1 against Carolina, and tight end 1 in fantasy after this week. So you're saying auto lock. I mean, you should be anyways, but auto lock. Wow. Goodbye, Travis Kelce. We'll get to him in a sec. Andre Yoshivas scores 15 fantasy points against Washington. In the 2 touchdown special, goes to
lock it in.
Derrick Henry in Dallas. Ryan believes that the Cowboys have back-to-back when I say horrid, I mean horrid weeks against the run. Please explain.
Well, even Jerome Ford scored a touchdown against them. This defense isn't looking vaunted at all. We know that Cleveland offense is terrible, plain and simple. We saw it again this past week. It's just the Jaguars managed to out-terrible them. So Jerome Ford got 1 in week 1. Alvin Kamara got 3 last week total. Derrick Henry has scored in both games. What's that?
Split the difference.
Exactly. But more importantly, Derrick Henry has scored in both games. We're seeing the opposite of what we were worried about for Derrick Henry. We were worried that the scores might get taken away by Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews and that the yardage would be there. Instead, we're getting kind of like mediocre yardage. He kind of picked it up towards the end of the last game. Mediocre yardage, not great volume, but he's finding the end zone in both games. And against the Dallas defense that personally I just think is beatable, they have elderly pass rushers and not a lot to stop the run, as you pointed out last week. Their draft strategy hasn't worked. I think Henry finds it twice in this one, as long as Lamar doesn't vulture.
Does it worry you at all that Dallas tends to be pretty good back, like coming back from a bad loss, especially on defense?
I'll be honest, it didn't play into my method at all. My method is typically look for teams that are terrible against a position, and right now nobody's given up more touchdowns to running backs than the Dallas Cowboys. So that's where I'm going to lean in that situation.
I mean, Maisie Smith is already dealing with a back injury. He was the guy that was brought in to be their run stuffer, which, you know, say what you will about that, it hasn't really worked out to that effect.
Well, and that's exactly what Joe brought up when we talked about Dallas last week, is they drafted him to do that and he's shit at it. So.
Exactly. And now that he's hurt, I mean, it's not going to get much better. And then you combine that with Lamar's rushing ability. This should be a huge Derrick Henry game, which, hey, as an Eagles fan, I'm rooting for Dallas's demise. So it works for me.
Nah, I like him a lot this week. Again, it's going to come down to the vulture, which is something you're always going to be worried about. Honestly, I feel like I just have to keep picking running backs because my guess is, Joe, you have Derrick Henry on at least one team that I'm jinxing for you right now. Oh, well, then this is going to be the week it hits. All right, I'm happy to hear that. So full disclosure, I am 0-2. However, they have scored at least one touchdown in both weeks so far. So.
No, you had Jonathan Taylor last week, and he scored 0.
Oh, that's right. He was trash because that team was trash. That's right.
No. He wasn't trash.
Yeah,
because he
had
averaged
over 100 yards in 10 carries or something.
Yes,
yeah.
And here's an early season offensive play calling in strategy gripe. If you're Shane Steichen, why are you not running every single play of the fucking game when you're averaging 10 yards per carry? Fun fact, every 10 yards is a first down in the NFL for those who are brand new to the sport. That's a first down every time you carry the football. Yep. What are we doing? Philadelphia, please explain to me why Saquon had 24 rushing yards in the second half. So anybody want to explain that to me? He had 49 on one fucking drive. Bijan did okay. Feed him. What are we doing? What are we doing?
You said that early on, halfway through the first quarter, you said neither of these teams should throw a pass the rest of the game.
Yes, I said I watched Bijan run like four to the 5 plays, and I'm like, damn, there's so many open rushing lanes. I watched Saquon go. I'm like, he just got 7 first downs in a row. Why are we throwing the football? What now? Should Saquon catch that ball on third down? Yes. Should your dumbass call a fucking run on 3rd and 3 with no timeouts? Also, yes. Yeah. Morons. Every single NFL coach could qualify as a dummy if they took an IQ test. They could all qualify. It's insane. Just do what works. We'll get to your questions in a sec. My upsides real quick. Don't want to talk about last week. I said, you know what, Joe? Let's play it safe this week. Let's maybe think ahead and be like, hey, let's play it safe. Let's go with some safe names. No. Garrett Wilson tops 100 yards and a touchdown against the Patriots.
So that's one of our biggest shots ever, I feel like, because that's a lot.
That's a lot for a person.
Without the reception, that's 16 fantasy points. It's not.
That's a lot for a team that the quarterback has not been able to move and the offense hasn't looked very good so far through the air. And he has not made a connection we believe, with Garrett Wilson outside of practice time against the Giants. So
Nope.
this is an issue.
All about his best friend, Alan Lazard.
Yes. Tony Pollard, top 10 against Green Bay, and Geno Smith, top 10 against Miami. I mean, Miami is depleted, and Geno looked good, and it's at home. But Tony Pollard, Green Bay's run defense, holy wow, have they looked bad through 2 weeks. They have looked ugly through
But
2
they've
weeks.
been able to shut down rushing quarterbacks, which is interesting. It's like it's like an old college defense where they're focusing on the quarterback part of the option and just letting the running back run wild. So.
It is really interesting how that pans out. Luckily, the Titans, I wouldn't per se have a running quarterback. They have a scrambling quarterback in Will Levis.
Yeah.
They have a guy who doesn't have a brain in Will Levis. He will turn the ball over at a very inopportune time for you.
And there will be one that is just the ugliest shit you've ever seen because he's Will Levis.
You thought him getting down and looking like he was blowing the Chicago Bears defensive tackle was bad.
You thought mayonnaise and coffee was bad.
Listen, and every single week it just gets worse with Will Levis. What will he do next? Tune in Sunday, 1 p.m. as the Titans take on the Green Bay Packers. No, I should feel very confident in Tony Pollard, not just because the matchup is really good. He has looked good so far this season. And as we all bang the drum heading into the season, what do we love Tony Pollard in? A split backfield.
Middies. Yep.
And that is exactly what he is in right now. To Quinn, Mahomes or Burrow the rest of the season? So you want to talk about, now Quinn, while I do think this is a viable question, because Mahomes did not look great last year in fantasy, and obviously we didn't see a lot of Burrow. I wouldn't overreact to Mahomes playing a team who he legitimately cannot figure out. That is his kryptonite. Lou Anarumo is his kryptonite.
But Burrow should have smashed and looked mid as hell as well, and I think that's the larger concern.
I would agree. To me it's Mahomes. I don't think it's close, but it's Mahomes.
I have everybody in my home league coming at me for Mahomes right now, and I've affectionately started calling him Patrick Mid-Holmes. And the fact of the matter is, he's just an average guy right now.
What do you call Travis Mid-Kelsey? What is his name?
Drop candidate. It's not good right now, but I don't know that the ceiling is there for Mahomes with like what you have with Burrow, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Andre Yosivas, who belongs in that conversation because he's me and Joe's guy. Burrow might have a higher weekly ceiling some weeks, but slow and steady wins the race. I'm sticking with Mahomes.
I'm the same. I'm sticking with Mahomes. The Pacheco injury is only going to put more onus on Mahomes' arm. They finally have some sort of resolution with the Hollywood Brown situation. He's done for the year. So you've got your guys. You got Rice. You got Worthy. He loves throwing to Justin Watson. He's going to get his picks here and there. They'll get the tight ends more utilized without a stronger running game. So I'm not that worried about Mahomes this year.
From Caesar, Carr or Baker or Jordan Love?
We're talking about just for this week. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just for this week. So for those that don't know, Derek Carr is somewhere. He's home against Philadelphia.
Yep.
Baker is home against Denver. And Jordan Love, if he plays, is on the road in Tennessee. Ryan.
I'm going to stick with Baker. He's the QB1 on the season right now. Denver doesn't have the defense, and Tampa Bay has the wide receivers. I love what we're seeing out of Derek Carr. I do believe the Eagles could be beaten. Derek Carr is the stream of the week. Spoiler alert for the end of the show. Don't know how he was available in that many leagues, but he is. But right now I do have Baker a couple spots ahead.
Josh.
Yeah, it's Baker for me. I want to believe that the Eagles can slow down Derek Carr, but I'm not going to buy into it yet until I see it. They have the best offense in the NFL through 2 games. But I like Baker's matchup a lot better. I think Mike Evans gets taken out of this game by Patrick Surtain, which means we're going to see a lot of Chris Godwin, and Baker seems to be throwing that way quite a bit and with great effectiveness. So fine sticking with Baker. With Love, let him get healthy. You have no need to rush Jordan Love out there if you have.
Oh, I don't think there's a chance Jordan Love plays this week at all. Malik Willis played well enough.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
Malik Willis revenge game.
Exactly. He might throw for one, maybe 113 yards. It's going to be nuts.
Just how the NFL drew it up. They said Green Bay, Malik Willis, week 3, revenge game. The 3rd round generational talent out of Liberty.
God. Talk about the swing and the miss. And I'm putting the onus on fantasy Twitter. We fell in love with that draft class.
Can you not rope me into that? Because I hated
You're not.
all
I don't
of
consider
them.
you fantasy Twitter. You're hockey Twitter.
I'm everything else Twitter.
Yeah.
Wow. No,
I guess draft Twitter, because really none of us we didn't fucking know. We just knew what people told us.
I didn't like Malik Willis at all.
But we hated that draft class, but we everybody kind of hated it, but we expected, especially with Pickett going 18th overall, that the rest would go higher. They did not, and then they were steals. No, they were not.
That they were not. I will go Baker in this scenario as well. You want to talk about a guy I full well fucking knew was going to suck? Bo Nix. Holy God, he is not putting his team in any position to
won't
succeed.
throw the ball.
And Denver as a whole just does not look good at all. Pareko, trade Calvin Ridley for ETN. Woo. Trade Calvin Ridley when he's hot, folks.
Yeah.
2 tutties last week. What do we think, Ryan?
I always lean on the side of running backs. I don't love what we've seen from ETN, but I don't know that Ridley's going to be able to do this every week. So sell high, and I think this is probably high enough. I'll take ETN.
Josh?
Yeah, I think this is good value for ETN. I'm not sold on the Jaguars offense, but if there's one piece that I'm still willing to buy, it's ETN.
If you had to look at the first 2 weeks, who would you say has been better, Travis Etienne or Jonathan Taylor?
I would say
Jonathan Taylor's looked more effective, definitely more efficient.
Travis Etienne has more fantasy points than him, so I just want to put that in perspective.
So bad Travis Etienne has more fantasy points than Jonathan Taylor. You make this trade. So.
Yes, you 100% make this trade because JT, we all said looked good last week, and the offensive play calling just made no fucking sense to get him back in the game. Once they get these guys actually involved in a game, and when Jacksonville figures out that they are paid professional athletes and do play football, then that'll be really good for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is selling at a very good price on Calvin Ridley if that person's going for it. Who's the receiver to get for the Rams? Also, the massive upset the Falcons did to them Eagles. Can we expect the same against the Chiefs? He's a Falcons fan. Da Equinox, baby. It's such a good question with the Rams. I feel like who's going to fill the Cooper Kupp role? I feel like Tyler Johnson fills it the best. I feel like he's probably the best route runner and the shiftiest. He's also one of the younger ones. Demarcus Robinson's on the older end, and he's more of a possession receiver. So he might play more of the Puka role, if anything. I truly, where does Tutu Atwell fit in this whole thing?
I was going to say, I know me and Josh are about to give opposite answers because we talked about this on the waiver show. I lean on the veterans. So for me, it's Demarcus Robinson and Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell. Josh, however.
Yeah, Demarcus Robinson plays the slot. He's the third wide receiver. And then you've got the other guys that are going to fill in on the outsides for Kupp and for Puka. Those are going to be Tutu and Tyler Johnson, with Jordan Whittington likely working in behind Tyler Johnson. I think the one that you want to roster is Demarcus Robinson, simply because he will be the one, especially early on, that Matthew Stafford will lean on. I don't know that he'll be the most effective, but that's where I would go. I was kind of leaning that way this past week, whereas week 1 when Puka got hurt, I was more on the Tyler Johnson side. Now that both of them are out, I want the veteran in this instance.
Oh, okay.
But I still think that Tyler Johnson is going to be the more effective one in the long run.
Well, on the waiver show, you were all about Jordan Whittington could be the surprise.
Well, yeah, and that's the guy that would be the one that I throw the least amount of fab on, is what I'm saying. That's the sneaky buy, right? That's the guy that nobody really knows yet that could kind of rise through the ashes the same way that Puka Nacua did last year. That's what I'm getting.
There you go.
Scamper's here to say Deontay Johnson over 100 yards.
Please,
and the
for the
Panthers
love
win.
of God. I don't know that it's going to happen, though. The Raiders,
I need it to happen.
A really good defense.
because of the mistake I made. For those who tuned into the waiver show, Joe hasn't had a chance to make fun of me for this yet. I was in a tough roster situation last week and had to choose between Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, and Rashid Shaheed. I cut Shaheed and then did not win him back on waivers. So,
You cut Shaheed?
after 1 week. This was pre the Sunday game. It was a bad idea, but I stuck with the volume and
You cut Shaheed
I did. And then did not get him back.
and kept a guy who had Bryce Young as his quarterback?
I was a believer.
Were you high? Is weed
Clearly.
legal in New York? Were you high?
It is actually.
Okay. All right. I would use that excuse in this conversation.
$200 budget on Fab. I put
That you
85
blew on
out.
marijuana, apparently.
I put 85 out when last week no bid was more than 41 and someone bid 120 on Sheets. So. And then won't trade him back to me. I've already got like 5 offers out.
He spent $120 fucking dollars on Rashid Shaheed. Of course he's not going to trade him back.
I tried to pay him back. I tried to give him the Fab back. It's on Sleeper where we can trade Fab. I offered him players in Fab.
Oh
I don't know what to do. I fucked up, Joe. I didn't even want to admit it.
Well, real quick, while we're here, and then we'll fly through some of these other questions. And I just need to say this for everybody that's in here. I just pulled up the wide receiver, like where they're at right now through the first 2 weeks. Have you guys seen?
Oh, it's fucking insane.
So this brings up. Somebody dropped in here. I believe Scampers might have said something in here that there's only been 66 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so as a whole, passing across the board down. But that's just a stat that throws it out there for you. If you want to see how fucking horrible and weird this has gotten.
Yep.
Chris Godwin, wide receiver 1. Okay, like fine. Like that's fine. I'm not mad about it.
He's a name we know. We're not crazy.
I'm not
And he's
mad
having a
about
good season. 94% catch rate, like 100 yards a game.
Also, he's been a wide receiver 1 before. This isn't a
Exactly.
surprise. Nico Collins, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but also a lot of us were saying going into the season, he should be a low-end wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Leads the NFL in receiving yards.
Malik Neighbors can go fuck himself. What the hell is he doing up here? What is he doing up here?
What is it? Second largest target share? Our largest target share, second most targets.
What
in
are
the
we
NFL?
doing? Granted, he had a shitty week last week. Jaden Reed, wide receiver 4.
On 8 targets, folks. On 8 targets.
Cooper Kupp, injured. Justin Jefferson, he was 3 for 36 outside of his 97-yard touchdown. Jamison Williams.
You love to see it.
Alec Pierce,
On 10 targets.
wide receiver 8. Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver 9.
On 9 targets.
Devontae Adams finally brings us back down to earth at wide receiver 10.
Yeah.
And then it goes Debo, Devonta Smith, Rashee Rice, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers. You
I'll
start
never
getting into
live
normalcy.
down cutting Shaheed except for the volume argument. But looking every day I see Christian Kirk on my roster, it will be another needle of my 1,000 needles. So
Alec Pierce is the wide receiver 8.
well, that's why I cut Shaheed. I knew I could go out and get Alec
Get Alec Pierce. Like, what the fuck is happening? All right, let's fly through some of these. Red Rifle, can we trust any of the Panthers wide receivers right now? I think all of us are a no across the board until we can see it
You
proven.
definitely don't want to trust it. You still have hope.
Yeah.
But it's
Don't cut
it's not-
Deontay Johnson yet. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Well, unless Rashid Shaheed's on the waivers,
Unless
then
Rashid
cut,
Shaheed is on waivers and then cut him so
Then-
fast.
then cut Deontay Johnson. But no, I would hold your Panthers stocks for at least, I would say give Andy Dalton 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Which brings Jonathan Brooks back into the fold possibly as well, where it gets interesting. So
That's what we're really hoping for my dynasty team because Jalen Warren has been holding down the fucking RB1 spot on my dynasty team right now. He also has Tyler Huntley, the quarterback, or Thompson for the Dolphins.
Thompson. He's already been announced.
So I'm gonna tell you it will be Thompson for probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks. When Huntley gets the playbook down, it is Tyler Huntley.
all him, baby.
He just needs to get the playbook down. It'll be him, and that's also that's Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
Respect his fucking name. All right, that's Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley. How are we feeling about? I believe this is Jaden Daniels rest of the season.
Correct. He should be a top 10 fantasy option, honestly. I mean, he keeps running the way that he's running. It'll all add up eventually, but he should be a top 10 option.
Yep. Just don't love his receivers.
Correct. Yeah, and the way they're utilizing Terry McLaurin is just baffling to me.
Yep. It's almost like Cliff Kingsbury doesn't know shit about football.
They have the most pass attempts behind the line of scrimmage. Let that sink in.
So this begs the question. This begs the question. Is Caleb Williams really that good? He did have Cliff Kingsbury for 2 years. Is he really that good?
I mean, what you're actually saying is he survived Cliff Kingsbury for 2 years. He might be way better than what we thought.
This is true. It could go either way. It truly could go either way. All right, to the downsides here. Remember, like, subscribe if you haven't. I believe I see most familiar names here, but if you're not, like, subscribe. We appreciate it. I think we've gained close to like 50 just at the start of the season. We had over 500 this offseason. Please keep them coming. We appreciate every single one of you. Downsides, Josh. Fat old goose egg last week. You were 3-0 week 1. You were 0-3 last week. So, if history repeats itself, you'll be 3-0 this week. So,
I'm rooting for you, buddy.
He's playing it safe. Mike Evans.
Actually, never mind. I just read your first one. I'm not rooting for you.
He's playing it safe. Mike Evans against Pat Surtain outside the top 30 against Denver. Sam LaPorta outside the top 15 in Arizona. And Aaron Jones, another surprise to start the year, outside the top 20 against Houston. Josh, I'll let you kind of pick and choose who you want in here. I know we've really talked about Mike Evans enough, but I'll actually go with LaPorta here because we'll get to what Carrington dropped in about Taylor sucking the fantasy life out of Kelsey. She might have just sucked the life out of every fucking fantasy tight end possible right now that was drafted high enough. So talk a little bit about LaPorta. And you weren't high on him coming into the season, but...
No, I wasn't very high on him coming into the season. I definitely didn't think that he'd be this bad to start, but he's only seen 8 targets through the first 2 weeks, which definitely isn't great considering Jamison Williams already has 20. But for me, it's pretty simple. 2 words, Budda Baker. Arizona has allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points to tight ends through the first 2 weeks. And Goff just really isn't looking his way. He's throwing it more to the running backs and the wide receivers. I think he's truly morphing into George Kittle. And this is how George Kittle plays right now. It's low, 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 spike based on the matchups or the injuries around him, and then goes back to being a ghost. And then, the 2 for 27s, the 3 for, 35, whatever it may be. And I think that's kind of where we're at with Sam LaPorta right now.
Hey, so can you repeat that name one time real quick for me? Who are you scared of Sam LaPorta going against?
Budda Baker.
Oh, I remember on the IDP show and everybody flamed me for having Budda Baker inside my top 10 for defensive backs this year because of my very sound reasoning of history repeating itself. He's the defensive back 8 right now. So
yeah, he's a dog.
All y'all can go fuck yourselves. Also, Brian Branch 7. Listen, I'm not going to tell you that you should probably listen to me on IDPs. I don't know where Max Crosby is, but that man's an absolute fucking menace. Everybody was saying Max Crosby.
I was saying
not taking credit
for whatever reason, because Stream of the Week Raiders, they do not have many sacks or quarterback hits right now. So I feel like he's wreaking havoc.
This week.
I was gonna say I feel like he's wreaking havoc, but hasn't seen the rewards until this week. So.
Let me tell you, there's gonna be a lot this week.
Well, there was all the talk about Aiden Hutchinson breaking a record last week. I think it might be Max Crosby this week. So.
Dog status, baby. Josh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted. I was like, what is happening?
I'll pull this up from Scampers. This was my exact argument for why LaPorta was not my tight end 1 going into the season. He was dependent on touchdowns, which if you took away 4 touchdowns and put him right back to the rest of the pack last year, he was tight end 5. And volume, which of course is not there because right now Jamison Williams is taking all of that.
Boom.
Great point.
Ryan, 1-2 last week, 4-2 on the season. You got Herbert outside the top 20 in Pittsburgh. No Chiefs running back scores 10 fantasy points Sunday Night Football in Atlanta. And the no touchdown special just goes to the Steelers offense as a whole. Just go into the Steelers offense as a whole. Justin Herbert, I mean, he's been better than expected. I think many thought going into the season.
Has he?
I mean, I don't.
He has 3 touchdown passes in 2 weeks. I mean, most people weren't giving him even that much. So
yeah,
he's the QB 24. So I think that makes my point for me. Let's start with Herbert. QB 24 on the season, hasn't crossed 150 passing yards yet. And then when you look at the defense he's playing, Pittsburgh has 4 picks in 2 games, also 4 sacks. And then the thing that worries me is Herbert's mobility issues are getting worse, not better. He's popping up on the injury report on an ankle right now. We know he's dealing with plantar fasciitis, which can come and go. And then when you look at what Pittsburgh has done so far, Kirk Cousins was the QB 31 against them. Bo Nix was the QB 28. I understand Herbert is probably better than both of them, but what was the thing that we took away from that Steelers and Kirk Cousins game is that Cousins was a statue and he couldn't move. And I think we're getting to Justin Herbert being a statue territory. The concern for me isn't the touchdowns, but most quarterbacks not named Jared Goff can throw touchdowns right now. The concern for me is 141 yards, 144 yards is his season high so far. There's no volume. There's not going to be enough volume to get him in the top 20 for me.
See, I disagree that he won't have that volume this week. The last 4 games that Greg Roman has coached against the Steelers, twice they have not hit 100 yards in those 2 games. And one of those, Lamar Jackson had to throw the football 37 times. He didn't have Lamar for the other 3. So they're going to throw the football, especially when you consider that they held the running game of Atlanta to less than 80, or they held them to 89 yards for the running backs and 49 from Denver, which of course that's a very different story considering it's Bo Nix at quarterback. He's going to throw the football well over 30 times. When he throws for volume, he gets the yards that goes with it. I understand that they have the amount of interceptions and stuff that they have so far this year. Kirk Cousins in his first game back off the Achilles and Bo Nix. That's not Justin Herbert. Even a statue of Justin Herbert has a better arm than either of those 2 quarterbacks.
Promise you, everybody, we see the questions. I promise you we're getting to them right after this. Downsides, I was 2-1 last week. 4-2 on the year. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's predicting people's demises, and I take full pride in that. Fun fact: 1-1 on my bonus picks, but should be 1-0 because Aaron Rodgers under a half a passing yard. Do we really think that was serious on that? My 1-0 bonus.
You were serious.
My 1-0 bonus pick was Bo Nix 2 interceptions week 1 against Seattle, so nailed it. I have Lamar Jackson outside the top 8 against Dallas. They say, Joe, maybe you should chill. Maybe, you're on a high. Maybe you should, take some layups. No, Jonathan Taylor outside the top 12 against Chicago. And they say, you know what, Joe? I heard revenge games are back. No, Stephon Diggs outside the top 25 against Minnesota. My Stephon Diggs take, he was actually good in his one lone game against Minnesota.
Yeah.
So that didn't help my argument. My argument is he needed 2 touchdowns to be fantasy relevant in week 1. And I will end my argument there because I think that's pretty sound reasoning. I will quickly touch on Lamar. I just think Baltimore is in shambles. Todd Monkey Brain doesn't know how to fucking call an offense right now.
Their offensive line is terrible.
Well, offensive line's bad as well. But Todd Monken has the yips from the playoffs last year. He has the fucking yips. He is scared to make play calls, I think. I truly think he is scared to make play calls. Like, you did not bring in Derrick Henry to have 18 carries a game.
Exactly.
You didn't. And let's be real. 18 carries compared to what he had in week 1, it was really good.
Yeah.
You brought in Derrick Henry to have 25 carries a game minimum.
And Lamar to have the other 10.
Truly. Like, This offense should be 70% run. And you want to know what happens in that 70% run? Lamar probably still has 250 in the air because they're so focused on the run game.
8 in the box. So
if you tell Lamar, hey Lamar, if there's 8 in the box, check out and run a screenplay, run a play action pass. Lamar, if there's 7 in the box, run it. Every time. You know how to mask a bad offensive line? Ask the New England Patriots. Run the fucking football.
Yeah.
They have graded the worst offensive line in football the first 2 weeks of the season. Panthers included. Just run the football. And I think Todd Monken is scared. I truly think Todd Monken is scared to do that. So I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to have as good a week, and I think Dallas has a heavy bounce back.
You made me think here, Joe. Mondre has 15 more carries than Derrick Henry. That's robbery.
I guarantee you Antonio Gibson's pretty fucking close to the amount of carries that Derrick Henry has too. Like, Antonio Gibson has more, if not as many rushing yards as Derrick Henry.
18 carries for 114. Henry is at 31 for 130.
Antonio fucking Gibson has 16 less rushing yards than Derrick Henry. Something doesn't add up in that sentence. It just doesn't. It's so stupid. Oh, Todd Monken should be fired by week 8 if he keeps calling games like this, and I mean that literally. Jonathan, need to sit one between Ayuk, Devonta Smith. Hurts is his quarterback. He's starting Rashee Rice and Devontae Adams. Josh.
Oh, you
Mike
muted
again,
buddy.
you moron. Who
Sorry,
hired
I'm
you?
thinking I'm coughing. What do you want?
Who hired you?
I'm not sitting Ayuk. I can tell you that right now. But
Okay.
I don't love sitting Devonta Smith, but I'm certainly not sitting Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, Ryan.
If AJ Brown's out, I am sitting Ayuk. I'll start Smith.
Honestly, I'd rather bench Adams because they're not going to throw the football against.
That's kind of. I was looking at this and thinking the same sort of thing. I'm not
That's who I would
altogether
sit,
sold on
truthfully.
Ayuk, but
I picked up Minshew in a league because I don't like Justin Fields' matchup this week, so I'm playing Minshew over Fields. Jordan Love is my quarterback, so he's on IR.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that, but in the same token, Vegas is going to run up the score. They are going to run the score up on this team. That's Antonio Pierce and that Raiders mentality.
and they're at home. They got to show the fans something.
They're going to run up the score, and I have no doubt about them doing that. I would go with Ayuk. I mean, the hot hand has been the Saints. Like until the Saints prove you otherwise, they're on fire.
That's fair.
They're on fire. And you know who's not? The Rams. They are the exact opposite of being on fire. Because they even mentioned on the broadcast that the Rams own the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
It was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Ownership has changed hands.
Yeah, absolutely nothing there to see. Dan, to start Kieran or B-Rob Jr.? Ryan. This one's easy. It's Brian Robinson.
I was going to say, can you trust anybody in that offense right now? Yeah, it's Brian Robinson, I think. Against
Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's Brian Robinson. Cincinnati's run defense is awful since they let DJ Reader walk.
100%. From Steven. I don't think he asked the same thing a couple times here. We'll see. Half PPR redraft, 3-wide receiver. Should I trade Shaheed for B-Rob? Shaheed is on his bench, and he follows it up by saying Shaheed for B-Rob or Shaheed and DJ Moore for Olave. So
That
saying
feels ass backward there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
so-
not make that second trade. I would do Shaheed for B-Rob because, again, I buy running backs. So
and I think that's fine to drop Shaheed in that situation. At least you're getting something in return.
let's not say drop Shaheed. Let's not.
Yeah,
use
right.
this.
At least you're getting something in return.
That's PTSD for Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I got PTSD in return, Joe.
Yeah.
I
would do
think
this.
the logic of the second trade, Shaheed and DJ Moore for Olave, is Olave right now is seeing the target share, the routes run, all that stuff that goes along with being a true wide receiver one. It's just the games have been blowouts, so it hasn't been connecting. And Shaheed is catching all the deep balls that look flashier and fill up the stat sheet. So it's like you're buying low, quote unquote, on Olave, but selling high on Shaheed. I don't really think you're selling high on Shaheed, truthfully. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 2 by the year's end if this offense continues to roll the way that it's rolling.
Yeah.
That said, I think you can get a better running back than Brian Robinson.
So
Robinson's look good.
He has looked good. I agree.
I definitely think you could sell higher on Shaheed right now and maybe see this. I agree that Shaheed could be a wide receiver 2 by the end of the year because they're not going to pay attention to him on defense.
My only concern is he's doing it in almost one play and then disappearing for the rest of the game. And so
But that's
all you need with Shaheed Sheed. I completely understand.
But it's not even that. That's what you expected coming into the season.
And that's
from
fair
him.
too.
The Jalen Waddle effect.
I just didn't expect it to be top 10 wide receiver numbers after 2 weeks.
It's the Jalen Waddle effect.
hey,
It's highs and lows. So
Alec Pierce is doing the same thing in
Exactly.
less plays. So, yeah, I think Shaheed from that standpoint, you maybe could sell a little higher, but I don't disagree with what you're going for there. Defense, Josh, you can just skip out on this one. Bears or Texans, Ryan?
Let me get my rankings up here. I think I have the Bears ahead, though.
Bears in Indy. Texans are...
Oh, no, my apologies. I have Texans ahead at Minnesota. I have Texans as my defense for this week. It's the Texans for me.
I was going to say, I like both. I think the Texans are just
they're both startable defenses this week, 100%.
They're both very startable, in my opinion. Bears defense has looked really good this year. They look good against the Texans, too, in week 2.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I
think you just have more potential for sacks and turnovers with the Texans on a regular basis. I know the Bears had 2 defensive touchdowns week 1 that really kind of inflate their stats, but I think the Texans overall are just a better, more aggressive defense. So I would lean them against Minnesota.
If there's no Justin Jefferson, I would go Texans immediately.
Yeah,
but that worries me. I'll stay Chicago for right now. I don't really like either of them. I picked up the Raiders. I don't know why. I
love the Raiders. Don't get me wrong. I'm just I love that this started off with me and Josh being like, they're both playable, and you're like, I don't really like either one. So.
The Vikings are giving me the heebie-jeebies. All right, I don't. Sam Darnold is a man possessed. He finally found the ghosts he was seeing on Monday Night Football, and now they're inside of him, possessing him right now. It's insane. And I don't know. There's just something about the Bears defense. I don't know why, but I'm just waiting for 2 Anthony Richardson 70-yard touchdown passes to ruin your day.
Yeah,
that's because
that's fair.
We love the Texans defense. That's what happened to the Texans defense in week 1.
Yeah, they were.
And the Bears defense is not as good as the Texans defense. So that's my worry there. Is I think there's big play opportunity on both sides. If the Vikings don't have Jefferson, this isn't even a competition. It's the Texans. So, because then that gets rid of their big playability.
Yeah.
Millie got offered Jaden Daniels and Ladd McConkey for Tank Dell and Jordan Love. How do we feel about that? He also has Jaden Reed on his bench. Ryan.
Feels kind of even to me. I'm going to play with the rushing upside of Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I guess I'll take the Jaden Daniels side, unless I assume you have Jordan Love. So I guess the question is, who are you starting in place of Jordan Love right now before I make a decision on this? But I probably want the Jaden Daniels side.
Ryan, or Josh, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Jaden Daniels. I don't think there's a ton of upside with Ladd McConkey on a regular basis. But even Dell is still kind of flatlined in my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. Dell and McConkey,
I want the healthy
equal.
guy. So yeah, they do feel kind of equal, truthfully. But Dell at least is seeing more of the field because they're going 11 personnel like 79% of the time when they pass. So that's a positive thing. But Jaden Daniels, his upside is just new. It's crazy high. So I'm going to take the best player in the deal to me, and that's Jaden Daniels right now.
All right, we're gonna get to our boy Carrington's little comment here. Did Taylor suck the fantasy life out of Travis Kelce? And you know what, Carrington, it's such a good question because currently, as I look to find him very, very low on this list of players,
I just want to quickly throw up Emma's face was my face when I read that question. I was like, whoa.
Well, did Taylor suck the life? Well, he is tight end 28 on the season.
Yes.
That is lower than Cole Kmet, Darnell Washington, David Njoku, who didn't play last week, Dalton Schultz, Brenton Strange, Luke Schoonmaker, and Jawan Johnson, who have had goose eggs in week 1 and or 2, Colby Parkinson, Elijah Higgins, Chigoziem Okonkwo, Foster Moreau, Zach Ertz, Isaiah Likely is your tight end 1 on the year. Do you want to know where the tight end 1 would rank amongst kickers? The kicker 6.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how many kickers had more points than Travis Kelce last week? All of them. All of them.
It's so bad.
With no running game, I think we see better Travis Kelce.
I agree.
All kickers were better. So realistically, hear me out. You took Travis Kelce in the second round. Brandon Aubrey should be the number 1 overall pick in your fantasy draft.
There you go.
Logically, if we were doing this.
But I'm also going to rewind on that exact fact and be like, we saw another kicker picked up off the street and hit 7 field goals last week, which is why you still shouldn't waste an early pick on kickers.
Yes, Sierra is the reason Russell Wilson's bad. Horrible influence on Russell Wilson.
Oh my God. Inadvertently, I saw one of Russ's old commercials where, what was it? Where he was like, you have to have that unlimited mentality. And I was like, oh my God, I hate this guy fucking much.
You mean
No, don't do it. Don't.
He's Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah. And then like he uses a hypothetical where he's like, are you going to get this done? And he's like, yeah, unlimited. And I'm like, the fucking hypothetical doesn't even make sense for your question, guy.
He's Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah, I'm so upset that I forced myself to inadvertently relive that moment.
Higgins or Ridley rest of the season, Josh?
It's Ridley. I'm not buying into Higgins right now.
Ryan?
Yeah, he's already hurt. We know what T. Higgins is. He's the wide receiver 21 who's going to miss 4 games. So I'll take the upside of Ridley.
Ridley as well. Jay, reminder Stevenson or Tony Pollard this week. Josh?
I like Pollard, truthfully.
Yeah.
Ryan.
This feels like not a lot of wrong answers. I have them next to each other in my rankings. They're both very playable. If I had to choose between the two, I would also go Pollard.
I would find ways to get both of them in.
Yeah, they're both top 12 running backs for me this week. So who are you starting over?
That is a good question, yeah.
You could be like me. You know what, Jay? You could be like me and have, James Cook and Breece Hall on the same team and have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Like this. No, I mean, these guys were going lower, so there's a chance that you could have 2
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, you could have very good running backs.
I would look to play both of them if you can. If not, I will also go Pollard just because of the extended week. That's the only reason.
I say Thursday games are weird.
Yeah, Thursday games can be very weird. Jonathan needs 1 RB, 1 flex. Brian Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, JSN, Xavier Worthy, or Trey McBride. He's starting Bowers in the tight end 1 slot, 1 point for first downs. 1 running back between Dobbins and Brian Robinson. Ryan.
I'm going to go Brian Robinson. I think this may be a come down week a little bit for J.K. Dobbins.
Josh.
Yeah, it's Robinson definitely at running back.
I will also go Robinson at running back. Josh, go to the flex.
I'm leaning JSN.
Yeah.
I really like that. Although, man, it's hard to want to sit one of those tight ends. That's the problem.
I was going to say, you ain't finding me benching Trey McBride in any world.
I think JSN is going to ball out this week, truthfully. I love that matchup against Miami.
I would be JSN as well.
I'm McBride because that's just my brand. So
fair. Yeah. Well, back to your brand, Kincaid or Goddard, Ryan.
I honestly hate Kincaid again this week, and I was right about it last week. If I have to choose between these two, I have to remind myself of my own rankings. I have Kincaid 2 spots ahead, so Kincaid, I guess.
Josh.
I mean, I want to believe Goddard, but I mean, he didn't even do anything last week when I thought he would have a decent game. I understand they have a very good safety tandem, but they just weren't really moving the ball through the air. The Eagles were, so I gotta lean Kincaid. That Jacksonville defense just really doesn't scare me at all. And I think with 2 straight stinkers, like they've got to find a way to get Kincaid.
Yeah, it seems like this is and Josh, that's actually a really interesting point. That's something to pay attention to this week. As data starts to, form trends, the guys who've had shitty 2 weeks, if their teams don't fight to get them involved this week, their asses are not getting involved this season.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is really going to be the telling week, probably for both of them, truthfully. But
yeah,
Kincaid, I feel like, was drafted to be a very integral part of this team. And the way that they really I don't even think Keon Coleman saw a target against Miami.
I mean, Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
Yeah,
I know he
and
had
even
those
Kincaid
that
was
high.
very
James Cook
underutilized
dominated
the
that
first 2
game.
weeks. Yeah, he really did. So, yeah,
I will
think
say,
it's gotta be a Kincaid
I will
week.
say Zach Ertz on your waiver wire.
I was gonna
That's-
say a lot of my streaming options I think are better options here, including my stream of the week. And I don't even love my stream of the week.
Just to add, Jay is a man after my own heart. Bryce Hall and Saquon Barkley as the starters.
Now that makes a ton of sense. So for me, it's Pollard. And again, you don't have a wrong answer, especially starting those 3 running backs.
Yeah.
Jay, just
Yeah, I would say go Pollard because you've already got one running back Thursday night. I don't think you need to bog down your.
Yeah, do you
lineup.
want that much in that game?
hey,
Yeah.
hey, Jay, if you're still here, just for funsies, can you say how many teams are in your league and where you drafted? Because how the fuck did you get Breece Hall and Saquon Barkley in the same
And
draft?
who's your wide
I'm
receiver
telling you,
one?
man, Barkley was slipping. There were a lot of people that weren't buying into him.
Insane. I have offered 2 first-round picks in Dynasty for Saquon Barkley. It has been rejected.
Oh,
Tim, you put him on the fucking trade block. What do you want from him?
2 1s?
All right, I got a first and a second. I'm sorry. He countered 2 first. Said no, first and second.
2 1s felt like an overpay. First and a second feels accurate for a team contending. So,
Man, if I didn't have a full stable of running backs, I might be making a trade for Saquon.
I was like 27.
If I
You have
knew
Kenneth
what a-
Walker hurt.
if I knew what a first round pick looked like, I'd be trading for Saquon Barkley.
Ryan, I'm pretty sure one of the first round picks I was giving up might have been one of yours.
Had
I'm not
to
going to
be.
lie to you. It might have been one of yours. From Daniel, start Jerome Ford or Rico Dowdle, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen.
Let's get to the second part of this question because we can't finish this show until you tell us this trade has went through. As quickly as possible, do you trade DeMarcus Robinson for Chris
Olave.
If
somebody's
somebody is
offering
willing
you
to take that
yeah.
trade, yes, 100%.
And please tell me you can get it done during the show. We have probably 10 minutes left. I want to hear back from you that this got done. It's still Jerome Ford for me until further notice.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's Ford. The Deonta Foreman coming out of nowhere and stealing all those carries was
Fuck yeah.
baffling to me. But
Fuck yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Rashad White does not play, I love
Bucky Irving, 100%.
this week because
Yep.
Denver's run defense has not looked great this year.
Oh,
Okay.
without a question. Yeah. Let's be clear. If you told me Zeke, Rashad, or Breece Hall wasn't playing, it would be any of those other 3 guys
Yeah.
over Jerome Ford.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Ford's the most involved. He gets the passing down
Exactly.
usage as well. So
Jay did say 8-man league, which I expected to be the answer. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Rashawn, move Jacobs and Dell for Garrett Wilson, or Connor and Dell for Marvin Harrison Jr., assuming I have Gibbs and Barkley at running back, Godwin and Rashee Rice at wide receiver.
It is that second trade for me as quickly as you can make it.
Yeah, I think Jacobs is the better between him and Connor, and Tank Dell's the throw-in for either of those guys. So,
And I think MHJ is the best player in the entire trade. So for
yeah, that's
any
fair.
of the
I mean,
players-
honestly, I don't hate either trade.
I don't either.
I don't
think
ha- I
Connor
don't hate
and
either,
Jacobs
yeah.
are both getting really great usage right now. Connor's being more effective with his touches, but you know, as long as Jordan Love is out, you're going to see a ton of Josh Jacobs. What do you have? 32 carries last week, and then
It
they
is
just put Marshawn Lloyd on IR.
on
so
IR.
It is
Yeah.
shocking to me that someone's willing to listen for Marvin Harrison right now, though. It's obviously people are listening for Garrett Wilson. I can't believe anyone is listening for Marvin Harrison after first quarter last week.
Yeah, for that person
Yeah.
selling Marvin Harrison, that's selling really, really, really fucking low.
Yeah.
If that's what they're looking at.
After that, I don't know what it would have taken to get me to move Marvin Harrison after last week, but it ain't James Conner and Tank Dell. That's not the one
Yeah,
I'm
right.
jumping at. So
No, definitely not. The Smitty, would you trade Ramondre or Jordan Mason for Josh Allen?
in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yes to
But
either
Mason,
of them.
by the way, not Mondre.
I mean, look, yeah, trade Jordan Mason, but if not, fine. Trade
I would trade.
Ramondre
I don't care what
Stevenson.
your running backs are. You get a running back and a quarterback one with Josh Allen. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Other running backs are Carson Steele and Javonte Williams. Well, I don't love your other running backs.
Jesus Christ. Maybe not. Who's your quarterback?
Yeah. While I don't love your other running backs, I would look to trade Jordan Mason for Josh Allen. And if somebody wants to do that, then fine. You have Ramondre Stevenson and Josh Allen. You're fine.
I'm going to go contrarian. I don't think you can make this trade with your current running back room. I need to know who your quarterback is. I'm not making this trade.
Josh?
I mean, you're giving up not even the best running back to get arguably the best quarterback. So give me Josh Allen. Some things don't have to be difficult.
I don't love your running back room, but I'm okay with going
I'm
Josh
not saying
Allen.
I do either, but
yeah, I'm okay with Josh Allen. Probably every other quarterback in the NFL, maybe Kyler Murray withstanding because of his rushing upside and Lamar. But Josh Allen, that's fine. Carrington saying Drake London is the snip, snap vasectomy from Michael Scott. Is he actually good, or is the fantasy community overhyped him? I'll tell you this, Carrington. He is fucking good. And he is getting the DJ Moore treatment. And if you're unfamiliar with the DJ Moore treatment, it's the treatment of, I'm open and they won't throw me the ball.
He did put a nasty move on Darius Slay on that touchdown catch.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Because he's a ridiculous route runner.
Yeah. Somebody that's 6'4" should not be able to move like that.
He's open on every play. I screaming at my television, hoping that Caleb Williams could hear me all the way down at NRG Stadium. DJ Moore is open on every play. Caleb, you just got to put the ball where it needs to be. Yep. I promise you he's open. Drake London is the same way. When Kirk Cousins starts treating Drake London like he treated Justin Jefferson, everybody will be happy. We're all going to be jumping around. We're going to be frolicking through the flowers. Everything's going to be great. Kirko just needs to get that through his tiny little brain right now. Scampies. Charbonneau, if Walker is out, Dowdle or Carson Steele. It's Zach Charbonneau.
It's Charbonnet without a doubt.
Yeah. Charboner.
I want to see how they're going to use Carson Steele before I really jump to start him, but
yes.
It's Charbonnet.
How about a yucky Deontay or Jalen Waddle?
I feel like he just created this question to get me to say I would start Deontay Johnson.
I mean, right? Like, all logic says
I'm not starting Jalen Waddle. Plain and simple.
All logic says Deontay Johnson.
I agree.
Pass. Just leave the position
definitely.
blank.
I'm putting Deontay in my starting lineup and then lighting and saying 10 Hail Marys. And I'm not even Catholic, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Brandon
and I'm definitely
Cooks.
Not watching any games this week.
Alec Pierce? Question mark. It's tough. Yeah, that's a tough one. Zach asking, Josh, have you been to Tampa Street to visit the Mayfield Bakery yet? It's cooking up some special recipes. Okay.
Zach's a big Bucks fan, and I want to give him a shout out. Congratulations on your engagement, buddy. Baker's cooking. He's cooking, and the Bucks look really good. So shout out to them. And
QB1 Baker and a fiance. It is all Zach right now.
There you go, man.
It up down there. Smitty, he says his quarterbacks are Field, Purdy, Stafford, and Bo Nix. It's a 2-quarterback super flex.
Yeah, I did not realize it was a 2-quarterback league. You trade any running back for any quarterback in a super flex.
Go get Josh Allen and play Josh Allen and anybody not named Bo Nix and have. Well,
not to mention if everybody keeps their job and you're coming out of this with 5 quarterbacks, you can turn around and buy a running back at a reasonable price with one of those.
I mean, you could even probably get Devin Singletary for Bo Nix.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know if I'd pay a quarter for Bo Nix.
But what I'm getting at is
in a 2 QB
if it's 2 quarterback super flex, like they can start up to 3 quarterbacks, but you have to start 2.
I
didn't take.
That's how I'm reading this.
I've never had a league that way.
No, I think it's
that's how I'm reading this.
If you could start 3 quarterbacks, you do that trade as fast as you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. What 100%. I'm looking at this thing and jam. Was Bo Nix like a 4th-round pick at this point? If that's how that actually works, no, I think it's just normal. Regardless, 2-quarterback or normal superflex league. Go get Josh Allen. Yeah, if that idiot's dumb enough to trade away Josh Allen for Jordan Mason, you go do that.
Yeah.
Jackson, Kieran for Cook, 1-for-1, or Kieran in Drake London's Zay Flowers for Jonathan Taylor in a PPR. I would just do Kieran Williams for James Cook straight up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just give me Cook. Cook
Yeah.
is
give me Cook.
Cook is Kieran from last year. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and right now
me-
Cook is better than JT. So why would I want to give up a running back or a additional wide receiver with the running back for JT? So
go. Yes, go get James Cook right now for Kieran Williams in a horrible offense. Steven, thoughts on trading Kamara away for someone like Bijan, Breece Hall, Saquon, or JT?
Kamara can't stay on this pace, so I think these are the kind of trades you should be looking to make for Alvin Kamara right now. I would take any of the four of them, probably in that exact order that you have them on the screen.
Josh?
honestly, right now I want Kamara over all of them. He's in the best offense. And let's not forget that Kamara is still a really good fucking running back.
Well,
We just fall in love with all these guys because they're the new names and Kamara has been around for a while. He's doing things right now that we've really only seen CMC do over the last couple of years.
The only guy I would do it for is Saquon. Because I said at the start of the year, I think Breece Hall is RB1. I'm not feeling as confident in that. I thought the Jets offense would look a lot better. And again, early in the season, very early to tell. I was also super high on Kamara. I thought he would finish as a high RB1. I was also insanely high on Saquon. I think Saquon's going to finish higher than Kamara, which is why the only reason I'm saying that, I'm falling back a little bit on the Jets offense. But I still think like Kamara right now will finish top 5.
I had Kamara coming into the season as my RB9, but I had all four of these guys ahead. I don't know that you're wrong. I don't know. I'd rather have the proven workhorses.
I was going to say, I had Kamara as the top 10. I think at one point he was my RB6, and I think he finished at like 8 or 9 when I finished my projections.
So
I'm with you. I had all four of these guys ahead of them. I did not have the Saints offense looking this good this year.
That's
Plain
fair.
and simple. And that, I think, is the missing component when you're talking about where does Kamara fit in this running back hierarchy.
So here's my thing. The Eagles and the Saints offense have looked good so far this season.
They have.
The Jets, Falcons, and the Colts, you can say overall have not. I think if all of these offenses are on the same playing field of mediocre, because that's a very real thing that could happen, I think Kamara and Saquon are by far the best options in their mediocre offenses than Bijan, Hall, and JT, because I think in those offenses, like Derek Carr will still dump to Kamara 5 to 6 times a game, and he'll get those easy points. Saquon will get those easy points. Kellen Moore wants to use him
they're
in the flat.
scheming like wheel routes for Saquon. I mean, just look at the first touchdown with Green Bay. Like they're making it a focal point to get him the football, not only just as a running back, but in the passing game.
And I think Breece Hall will get more usage, but right now, there's no denying the usage of Kamara and Saquon.
I agree.
So to me, it's a coin flip between those two, Steven. I'm okay with doing it for Saquon. I'm not okay with doing it for any of the other guys.
You guys have talked me out of JT at the very least, but Saquon, Hall, and Bijan, I still would.
And it's very close. Like if you truly believe, again, I still have a feeling Breece Hall will finish RB1, but I think it's a second half. Like it's going to be pop.
Oh, you mean when you're going to win a fantasy championship?
You got to get there first. If you drop Kamara right now, you might not get there. Kamara's still going to be an RB1 at the end of the year. He's still going to be up there. But you might have to wait for Breece Hall to get there.
Yeah, I get it.
Bijan, I'm probably the lowest out of all of these.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen needs to wake the
just
fuck
not
up and just run the football. He just needs to wake up and just run the football. That's what you're built to do. He just needs to. You can't watch Anthony Richardson throw 2 passes for 150 yards and throw the rest of them for 30. You can't do that. You have to run the football. It's a great question though. It's a very good debate.
Really
it's a lot of personal preference. Basically, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think maybe the only wrong answer here could be Jonathan Taylor in the current situation. And that's just because you're trading away such a hot commodity right now.
Yeah.
Search and kill. I'm shocked this is our first Zamir White question. I'm shocked.
We'll get more on Saturday.
Yep.
Start Zamir White, David Montgomery, or George Pickens. Ryan.
I'm entering never George Pickens mode while Justin Fields is the starter.
What happened, Ryan?
Week 1 he
Justin
was
Fields
fine.
happened.
Week 1 he was fine. Week 1 he was okay. He had 7 targets, 6 catches. He was fine week 1. Last week we knew it was going to happen. I'll be interested to see what happens this week.
It's another tough matchup. I'm going Monty here.
Josh.
I was going to say Monty's definitely the safe play, and it is an okay matchup against Arizona. But again, like you have Zamir White to take advantage of these types of matchups. I'm flexing Zamir White because I will know by the end of this week if I need
if you're
to keep
ever playing him again.
Exactly, because if he can't do it against Carolina, there is literally no point in him being on your roster, and then I don't ever have these start-sit decisions ever again.
Sorry, I'm just looking. I'm looking up the Raiders, like just playing stats right now. So Zamir White, because I feel like I see Alexander Mattison on the field more than Zamir White, which is crazy. But Zamir has more catches, the same amount of targets. He has less yardage and not as many touchdowns. Alexander Mattison has 2 touchdowns. Zamir White's only averaging 3 yards per carry, but he has 22 carries to Madison's 9.
Yeah. Oh, it's vulturing that's happening right now. Backup running backs
it's
are supposed
vulturing,
to be
so
more efficient.
But they're using Madison, I feel like, more efficiently in the passing. Let me rephrase that.
The volume is there. The volume is definitely there. Fun fact, they have 2 rushing first downs on the season. That's horrendous. The volume's there, so you have to be confident, which is what is shocking to me. Shocking is that they don't want Dylan Laub activated. That's shocking to me right now.
Healthy
they don't
scratch
want him
2 weeks in a row.
Again, he's a rookie. He's still learning. He's a 6th-round pick. You don't need to play him right now. But if Madison goes down or Abdullah goes down, if one of these running backs goes down, Dylan Laub's going to get activated, and he is going to be used. So I'm just interested because I think the usage right now for running backs in Vegas is just puzzling with how they're using them right now. I would go Zamir White this week, and if he doesn't do it this week, just kiss his ass goodbye. Just get him, throw him away for as much as you can get. Is Bo Picks going to get any better? No. Can Zach Wilson be any worse? Yes.
Yes.
I mean, just very simply. It's just very simple.
I think Knicks will get better. I'm just throwing that out there.
No. Trade Ramondre or Mason, and why? What's your thoughts on a CMC?
Yeah, I think he's just looking for reasoning with the Josh Allen thing. The thoughts on the CMC comeback, I mean, he's going to come back at some point. Which,
exactly.
If you can move Mason to get a commodity like Josh Allen, you do that in a heartbeat.
Immediately.
Especially in whether it's just Superflex or a 2 QB Superflex, any of that, quarterbacks are exponentially more valuable than running backs, especially when you have a top option at quarterback like Josh Allen.
Yes.
There's no circumstance where Ramondre Stevenson is losing his job outside of injury. Jordan Mason is going to lose his job at some point.
That's
and
correct.
The second there are rumors Christian McCaffrey is coming off of IR, Jordan Mason's trade value is gone.
Correct.
See ya. So, yeah, get rid of Mason first. If you can't go Ramondre, that's fine because it's it's a super flex league and that's fine. But yeah, oh my god, sell the shit.
Be willing to go Mason and Bo Nix. Like throw in.
How about this?
You could throw in Stafford. I would make that trade.
Yeah,
doesn't even have to be Bo Nix.
Remember when everybody was asking last year?
Or Fields, honestly.
After week 1 or week 2, people were saying, "Should I trade Puka Nacua and get high value?" Now, maybe people looking back that did trade him saying, well, shit, he did pretty well. But in that, we didn't know what was going to happen when Cooper Kupp came back. Yeah. We know what's going to happen when Christian McCaffrey comes back.
100%.
Jordan Mason goes back to being an undrafted free agent. That is exactly who he goes back to being. And that's not to say Jordan Mason has not filled in well and he hasn't been a good running back. He's been reading the holes very well. He clearly has vision for the position. He's not Christian McCaffrey. Nobody is. He's just not. So he's immediately irrelevant after that. Last one here. Ryan, I'll just let you take this. Thoughts on trading Brock Bowers for Josh Jacobs?
Brock Bowers is the tight end one in fantasy football. Josh Jacobs is not enough. Trade Kincaid for Jacobs.
For Josh Jacobs, correct.
Nobody's going to make that trade, though. That's the problem.
You don't know. No,
yeah,
do not trade
fair.
Bowers.
You definitely don't know. I mean, I still think in the first few weeks of the season, you can get away with some of the preseason value, the draft day value, which, and I think most would agree that Kincaid was higher than Jacobs in that value spiel. But I'm guessing you're willing to make this move because you are extremely weak at running
back.
Yeah. But right now, this is a negative on both sides because Kincaid has done literally nothing in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, what Jacobs is giving you over who you're starting at running back is probably not going to be the step up that Bowers is giving you at tight end. And I believe if the person's coming at you right now, they're coming at you, or I guess this is for a friend, but I believe they're coming at you for Bowers because they think you're won't trade Kincaid. I think that pre-draft rankings that Josh talked about, and Emma's a genius. So Brock Bowers,
She's also
baby.
a Georgia fan, so that's
all it takes.
Very clear. Yeah, Bowers he will never get focused in a defensive scheme because there's a guy by the name of Devontae Adams on the other side of the football. If Devontae Adams goes down and it's Jacoby Myers at wide receiver 1, then you might start seeing Bowers decline a little bit. But as long as Devontae Adams is on the field, Brock Bowers, in the defense's mind, is not a threat.
When only has one fewer target than Adams right now. So
it's just, he's not. So yeah, pass this along to your friend. Brock Bowers is the guy. Ryan, stream of the week.
Let's get into it. Week 3 streams of the week, all available in about 50% of ESPN leagues. I'm going to take the gimme at quarterback. Derrick Carr taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. I have no idea why he is available enough to be called a stream. He's the QB2 in fantasy. Philly's giving up the 10th most points to quarterbacks. They gave Cousins and Jordan Love 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Carr should be able to match or probably even beat that. At tight end, I don't love this. I'm going to go Hunter Henry on Thursday night against the Jets. I kind of hate tight ends this week. And honestly, if Jake Ferguson or Evan Ingram are out, I would start either of their backups over Hunter Henry here. The long and short is Henry is the leading receiver for New England, about 63 yards per game. We just need one of those multi-touchdown games we saw from him last year. And on defense, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, we are still picking on the Carolina Panthers. Andy Dalton missed the entire preseason, and last I checked, he is still Andy Dalton. The Raiders just had 2 sacks and a turnover against Baltimore. They should find things a lot easier this week at home against Carolina. Those are your week 3 streams of the week. Full article available tomorrow.
When I tell you, I looked ahead last week to week 3 to see who the Carolina Panthers were playing, and I had already picked up the Raiders defense like Friday of last week.
Now go look at the Raiders schedule for the next 5 weeks and realize you don't have to change defenses for half the season.
I saw that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's nice. And fun fact, I still have the Texans defense in all of those leagues.
I literally have Raiders and Texans in like 3 different leagues too, Joe.
It's almost like we've been in the same show for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have the same defensive philosophies. That's crazy. Smitty, yes, I know it hurts, but Josh Allen over every running back in a Superflex
over
league.
Everyone
in a Superflex
especially
league.
In Superflex.
He's the 101 you're getting the 101 in
for a guy you
Superflex
took
league.
In a Superflex league in the 5th, maybe 6th round, and then Mason you got for free. So
yes. And real quick before we get out of here, our underdog props reminder: you can sign up with the code WOFF. Free pick, first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Whoa, that's fucking crazy. No, it's fantastic. Please go sign up. Underdog Fantasies, download the app. It'll literally ask you for a promo code as you're entering the app. It's very simple. You don't have to find it anywhere. It's awesome. All right, Josh, pop that down. Aaron Rodgers, higher than 214.5 passing yards. Josh, that comes from you. Too bad you don't have a fucking win on the year.
Not gonna lie, it feels really risky.
Well, we'll see. And Ryan, you have Hunter Henry higher than 33.5 receiving yards. Also feels risky. You want to know what's a lock? Garrett Wilson, higher than 66.5 receiving yards, but currently discounted to 47.5.
Yep.
So I'm giving you a tie if he falls in between 48 and 66. I'm just letting you know that.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I will take the tie if that happens. That's totally
Keep in mind,
fine.
I think you get a little bit better odds if you take him at the 67 then you get the 1-to-1 odds at the 47 or whatever.
You do, yeah. So it is a discounted odds there, but yes, they hire. It was like when I checked, it was like 1.38.
And they're doing that in replace. There is no freebie at least as of this morning yet. So
for reference, everyone's betting higher because his line this morning when I filled out the show sheet was 64.5. So it already moved up 2 yards. So people are loving the higher on Garrett Wilson. So before it goes any higher, go pick him as well. And if you want a free pick as well, which we don't do the Sunday ones, CeeDee Lamb is the free pick this week over a half a receiving yard. Actually, half a total yard. So he could run for a yard and he'll be good. So CeeDee Lamb is your free pick this week if you want to do that. And you can use your free pick, first time deposit, all that fun stuff. Go for it. very much a lot of fun. Trophy Smack, once again, trophysmack.com/WOFF. Get all your fun stuff there. All the shows, all the articles. Oh, Captain, my captain. Waff's Cleat Dreams. Is that the new one? That's the new one, right?
That's the new Waff show. They're not going to be on tonight. Renee had a conflict, but they're going to be on tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. So
Boom.
it'll come
That's
on
what I was
just,
like,
shortly after we drop Oh, Captain, my captain.
That's what I was like, I thought that was the new one, but
Yep.
it didn't say 9:30. But yeah, that is a new one. Sneaky Flex, Dynasty After Party, DFS Academy, Anxiety, Wiretap, Trade Blocked. You know, if you didn't get enough of us, good for
There's
you.
so much.
Because there's so much more. If you did have enough of us, that fucking sucks. Subscribe, like, and
We'll
just
see you
keep
next
watching.
week.
We'll see you next week, I guess. Starts at different day. If you didn't get your question answered, is Saturday, 11 a.m. Be myself and Josh, Chris Allen, and the young buck, Hutchinson Brown, the only guy younger than me, will be here. Smitty, who has more upside? Justine Fields or Matt Stafford? Ryan.
I guess Fields with the rushing. Don't love either one this week, but I guess Fields
I was going
with
to
the rushing.
say, with Puka and Cup out,
Against the Niners.
yeah, there's definitely no upside really with Stafford this week. It's got to be Fields, but
the upside lies in Fields rushing yards. I would just go get Gardner Minshew. That's what I did.
This is probably the super flex league though that he was talking about.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Go with
I think you
Fields
got to
for
go
the
Fields
rushing.
here.
Go with Fields rushing upside. That you gotta hope Fields finds the end zone on a rushing touchdown.
Yep.
That's your hope there. For Josh, Ryan, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.